I welcome you in the third part of this lecture in which I'll be talking about architecture. So far, we have entered this particular journey in which I talked about the temples, the palaces, the forts, and the skill craftsmanship. So this is the last part of the architecture in which we'll be diving into the whole Islamic architecture related to mosque and the famous monuments in Indian heritage. So the overview of the session, in this particular session, you'll be able to identify what are the key features and the historical significance of major mosques and monuments in India. And later on, you will be able to illustrate with different example of architectural elements such as the domes, the arches, and the minarets in Indian Islamic structure. So now let's explore another beautiful architecture, that is mosque. So if you want to understand mosque, you have to understand, because just in the previous lecture I talked about temples, right? How basic architecture was also being, you can say, blessed with spiritual energy as well. So these are the architecture that a person is emotionally attached to, spiritually attached to. So it always plays a very important role when we talk about India's architectural history and how it basically highlights the country's religious and cultural diversity. So if you look into the historical development, so it spans and it can backdate to 7th to 12th century, that is early medieval period, so which was greatly influenced by the Arab, the Persians, and the Central Asian. So the Cheraman Juma Mosque in Kerala is thought to have established in the 17th century, and it is one of the India's earliest and most prominent mosque. And its design emphasizes the usage of wood, which was inspired by the traditional Kerala architecture. Then, if you look into, let's travel a little forward and let's enter the Delhi Sultanate. So, in this 13th and 16th century, Delhi Sultanate, it saw a considerable change in the mosque building. And the striking example is the Qutub Minar complex in Delhi, which contains the Quwwatul Islam Mosque, which was built by the slave dynasty. Now, this mosque also includes Hindu and Jain architectural elements such as pillars, the domes, to create a synthesis of Indo-Islamic characteristics. Then the Khiljis and the Tughlaq dynasties considerably enhanced the mosque building. And the Khilji monarch built the Khilji Mosque in Alai Darwaza, which is remarkable for its lofty arches and spectacular domes. Now, during the Tughlaq era, the striking example is the Firoz Shah Kotla Mosque, which was created, and it had a blended, you can say, aura of Afghan and Islamic architectural characteristics. Then coming to the Mughal Empire, that is around 16th to 18th century, this was a golden period of mosque building. And Babur, he was the first one to build the Babri Mosque in Ayodhya in 1528, which was later, because of contentious and became very contentious at that time, and it was finally demolished. Then the Jama Masjid in Delhi is also the most renowned Mughal mosque, which was commissioned by the Emperor Shah Jahan in 1656. Even this has a very striking, wide courtyard, the three towering domes, and the two minarets. And the Jama Masjid is a stunning symmetrical design. Then the Emperor Shah Jahan's Moti Masjid, Moti meaning pearl mosque in Agra Fort, is another notable example. Then coming to the Deccan Sultanates, we are traveling further, you can say, south, and the regional variation that took place in 14th, 17th century. So the Gol Gumbaz in Bijapur is one of the most spectacular example, with the world's second largest dome and a unique whispering gallery. Okay. Now, entering into the colonial era, that is around 18th to 19th century, this is where the now you can see the influence of British and European influences because of trade and because of colonization that was taking place. So the core, you can say, the Islamic features, however, were kept, but then there was also, you can say, like Indo Saracenic architectural style, which arose, which integrated aspects of Indian, Islamic, and building and Western cultures. So the architecture at that time, the example that you can give is of Victoria Memorial in Kolkata and the Taj Mahal Palace in Mumbai. Then coming to post-independence period, that is around 20th century till present. Now the variations, now you see that the mosque architecture in India has evolved since independence. We have traditional Islamic design features in modern mosque, which are frequently blended with the contemporary components. So the two well-known examples are the Nizamuddin Markaz Mosque in Delhi and the Mecca Masjid in Hyderabad. So what did the early mosque architecture actually look like, right? So the first mosque, which was established by the Arab traders and the missionaries in the 17th and 18th century. So at that time, the early structures were very simple. It was a single room building with it could be a sehen, which they call it as a courtyard made of bricks and stones. And as Islam spread over across country, mosque architecture adapted to regional materials. Whatever material was available in that particular region, whatever craftsmanship was there, that was reflected in that particular the architecture of that mosque. Then the Cheramun Juma Masjid in Kerala, which was built in 629, which is considered as the first mosque in India. And this reflects the Kerala's traditional architecture. And what was it? The sloping roofs, the wooden interiors, and even the mosque was renovated several times after that, but still it serves as an active place for worship, and it houses an ancient oil lamp till now, which is said to have burned continuously for over thousands of years. Then another striking example is the Kadalkarai Pali Mosque in Tamil Nadu. Even this was built by the Arab traders at that time. And another notable, you can say, the rich Islamic heritage, which the monuments of that particular period was also the Ahmad Nanar Mosque, the Qadriya Mosque complex, the tomb of Shawaldin, and Kutba Periyapalli and Kutba Sirupalli Mosque there in Tamil Nadu. Now, these structures actually illustrated the fusion of Indian, the Islamic styles, and forms an architectural link between South India and the Islamic Far East. And you can guess what was the reason. How did that influence from that Far East entered South India? So it's nothing but the trade route that was established that allowed the cultural exchange, right? Now, this is the image of the Cheruman Juma Masjid that was built in Kerala in 629 by Malik Dinar, the first mosque in India. So you can see the sloping roofs, right, and the wooden interiors. And like I said, many times the mosque has been renovated, and still now this place is suitable for worshipping. Then the Islamic mosque architecture, if you look at the notable example that that you can see even with the images I'm trying to show you, is the time period that is from 1200 AD to 1500 AD. We see that the architecture was greatly influenced by Persian Islamic architectural style. So the arch, the domes, the minaret, in a little while I'll be explaining all these terms also, and how the use of ornate decorative elements such as calligraphy was also there, some geometrical patterns were also there. So during this period, Quwwatul Islam Mosque in Delhi, which was built in 1193 AD. So this mosque features a large central dome, four smaller domes, and numerous arches and pillars. Then another example of the mosque architecture from this period is the Adaiddin Gonpra Mosque in Ajmer. Okay. And during that time, we also see the Alai Darwaza in Delhi and Gol Gumbaz in Bijapur and the Jami Masjid in Bidar. They are among the other examples, and you can see in this image also that how the whole architecture during that time, the beautiful arches, the calligraphy and the geometrical pattern, it formed a basic, elements, the basic characteristics of the mosque at that time. Then the Mughal mosque architecture, it started differing. And how did it differ? Because Mughal mosques started typically using red sandstone and white marbles. And they had more larger, you can say it was characterized by more, they had larger domes, towering minarets, and a very spacious courtyard. So the hallmark of Mughal architecture, we can say that it is supported by intricate geometrical pattern, calligraphy, and even the inlaid precious stones. And the display of the arches and elaborate ornamentation was also there. So the Jama Masjid in Delhi, it was built by Shah Jahan in 17th century. It stands as one of the finest example of Mughal mosque architecture. And also the Moti Masjid and the Taj Mahal in Agra. Now, the modern mosque architecture, now what was the difference between the modern mosque architecture? With time, we saw that the features remained the same, the arch, the domes, the minarets, and this many features like courtyard, the gardens, fountains was also introduced, an intricate geometrical and floral pattern that actually highlighted the Islamic artistry. Now, the modern mosque also emphasized more open space because to accommodate more people, there was abstract forms and even curved surfaces that play with light and to create that spiritual ambience as well. And then, of course, the modern amenities are now also being provided in the mosque, like air condition, the sound systems, and the sustainable technology like high energy efficient lighting and water conservation system. So the notable example is the Tajul Masjid in Bhopal, which is one of the largest masjid in the mosque in India. So these are the different images of the mosque. You have mosque in Srinagar, Kolkata, and you can see the marble that is being used, the space that the courtyard or the sehin, that the open space for people to come and pray. Now let's have a look at the elements. What are the different elements of a mosque? So the first element is the minaret. That is the one striking thing, that once you see a mosque, the most recognizable feature is the minaret. It's a tall, slender tower, usually positioned to one or the more corners of the mosque. And traditionally, it is the muezzin who would climb on the minaret to call the faithful prayer, that is the adhan. And nowadays we have loudspeakers, right? But in earlier times, there were no loudspeakers, so they used to, go on the elevated height of that mosque, and that's where they used to stand and, call out for the prayer. So architecturally, the minaret serves both as a functional and also as a symbolic purpose. So it acts as a visual focal point. It represents the presence of Islam in that particular area, and it often enhances the skyline of the city with its graceful height and the intricate design. The second thing is the dome, that is Quba. It is a very significant architectural element which is crowning the main prayer hall of many mosques. So it's like, basically you can say, symbolizes the world of heaven and creates a very spiritual atmosphere within the mosque. So beside the symbolic meaning, it also serves as a practical function also. How? Because it improves the acoustic, the sound system, and of course the natural lights also that filters through the small opening at its base. So the dome is another visual splendor of the mosque, which is a central feature in the Islamic architecture. Then comes mihrab, right? So it's a semicircular niche which is built into the Qibla wall of the mosque. So the Qibla indicates the direction of Mecca in which the Muslims they face during prayer, and it is usually the most ornately, you can say, decorated part of the mosque, featuring beautiful calligraphy, tile work, inlay work also, and carved stone. And mihrab does not have a physical function like holding any objects or any kind of figures there, but it serves as a spiritual focal point for worshippers. Okay. Then comes mimbar. Mimbar is a pulpit or a raised platform which is located next to the mihrab. Now it is used by the imam, who's the the leader of the prayer, and he delivers the sermon which is known as the khutbah. Now, especially during the Friday congregational prayers, we find that the khutbah is being delivered, and the member usually consists of like a short flight of stairs, and which is leading up to a small platform which is enclosed. So what is it symbolizing? It is symbolizing authority. authority and knowledge, as it is a place that the imam, he gets, he guides the community through religious teaching and moral instructions as well. Then comes the prayer hall, where all the people, they assemble themselves for worshipping, which is also known as musalla, right? They gather to perform their prayers, and the worshippers, they line up in straight rows. They face the qibla, the mihrab, and this is the hall design. It emphasizes unity, equality, and humility, as everyone stands side by side, regardless of the status, regardless of their wealth, right? Then moving forward is the courtyard or sehen. Okay, that is a very traditional, you can say, feature of a mosque, and it's an open air gathering for the worshippers. Not only that, it also accommodates large number of worshippers, especially during occasions like Friday prayers, the large congregation that assembles, which also functions as a social and communal space for learning, for discussion, for resting, and also for celebration during Eid time. Then comes ablution area, that is the wudu area. This is where the Muslim must carry out wudu by ritual cleansing involving washing specific part of the body. And for this purpose, the mosque, it is designed as an ablution area. Okay, so we have water taps there, fountains and basin. So Islam, it emphasizes on purity and cleanliness for both physical and spiritual as a prerequisite to worshipping. Then also there is madrasa, or you can say educational space for children also. So every mosque will also become the center of learning. So here they learn Quran, they study Hadith, Arabic, Islamic law, and under the guidance of the scholars. So historically, mosque also served as the earliest, you can say, the institution of education in the Muslim world, reinforcing the connection between faith and knowledge. So this is all about mosque. Now coming to the last part of the architecture, that is the monuments. So now we have traveled right from palaces to forts to temples to mosques. So now you can understand the rich cultural heritage and the diverse history of our country. So these monuments, which I'm going to discuss right now, it stands as a silent witness to our country's glorious past, and it reflects the artistic excellence, the architectural ingenuity, and the spiritual depth of different areas, um, and spiritual depth of different eras and dynasties as well. So among them, of course, you have the ancient monuments like the Ajanta Ellora caves in Maharashtra, the Sanchi Stupa in Madhya Pradesh, the Konark Sun Temple in Odisha, which exemplify the spiritual, the artistic achievement of early Indian civilization. Now, if we travel to the medieval period, of course, we have the Taj Mahal in Agra, which is now at the UNESCO's World Heritage Site. It's a masterpiece. It's an iconic symbol of love and of architectural brilliance. Then, of course, we have another masterpiece like Red Fort, Humayun Tomb. We have Gol Gumbaz Mosque in Bijapur and the Charminar in Hyderabad. Then, if you travel to, you can say, to Jaipur or Jodhpur or Pune, there we see the Rajput, the Marathas architecture. It also produced grand forts and palaces. We saw even in the earlier lecture, I gave you the example of Amber Fort, the Mehrangarh Fort in Jodhpur, the Shaniwar Wada in Pune. These are the monuments not only served as a stronghold, but also as a center of governance and of culture. Now, in the colonial era, we see that there's another dimension of India's monuments, like the British architecture, which introduced neoclassical, it introduced Gothic and Indo-Saracenic styles, right? So we have the Victoria Memorial in Kolkata, the Gateway of India, the Rashtrapati Bhavan, and so on. So today, India's monuments are not just historical sites. They're the living symbols of its unity and diversity, and it is still attracting millions and millions of visitors around the world. And it plays such a vital role in promoting the tourism, the cultural education, and our national pride as well. So now quickly looking at the ancient monuments of India, we have the Buddhist architecture. We have the stupas, the pillars, and the rock edicts, the Sanchi stupas in Madhya Pradesh, which is one of the earliest and the finest example of Buddha. Even the rock cut caves and temples, the Ajanta and Ellora caves in Maharashtra, Ellora's Kailasa temple, it is a marvel carved from just a single rock, and it is showcasing both artistic and engineering excellence. Then even remember we saw about the Hindu temple architecture, how the Konark Sun temple, the Meenakshi temple, it highlighted grandeur, it highlighted the devotion of early Indian builders by the intricate, you can say, carving and symbolic design. Now, in the medieval monuments of India, we have the Rajput architecture, like just like the Amber Fort I talked about, the Mehrangarh Fort, the Chittorgarh Fort, which exhibited strong defense designs and ornate courtyard and detailed frescoes. Now, coming to the Dravidian architecture in South India, we have the Chola, the Pandya dynasties, which developed spectacular temples such as the Brihadeshwara temple and the Vitala temple in Hampi. Now, these temples features towering gopurams. Remember the different characteristic of a temple, the mandaps, and the richly carved sculptures which represents divine themes as well. So the Islamic Indo architecture, which is notably the example that I gave you of Qutub Minar, Alai Darwaza, these are all you can say they were the early arrival of the Delhi Sultanate and later the Mughal also. And under the Mughal emperor, the fusion of Persian, of Central Asia and Indian tradition took, which was more celebrated at that time and it was more manifested during in their architecture. So we have the Taj Mahal, the Red Fort, Fatehpur Sikri, and Humayun tomb. The colonial monuments of India, if you want to categorize the colonial, you can categorize the Gateway of India, the Victoria Memorial of Kolkata, the Mysore Palace in Karnataka, and uh, the Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus in Mumbai, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Then the modern monuments of India, we have the Indian Gate, we have the Lotus Temple, and the Statue of Unity in Gujarat. Now, this is reflecting basically our national identity, the technological innovations, and the contemporary, you can say, aesthetics. It's combining all that and providing both the functional as well as the symbolic aspect as well. Now you have to understand the UNESCO World Heritage Site, and you should feel proud that when we talk about UNESCO, the World Heritage Site that is designated by UNESCO for having cultural, historical, and scientific or other forms of significance. So, India in itself has 42 World Heritage Sites, out of which 34 are cultural, 7 are natural sites, and 1 is mixed category. So the first site listed as a World Heritage Site is the Agra Fort, then the Taj Mahal, then the Ellora Caves and Ajanta Caves and so on. So here you can have you can take a pause the video and look at the list of the different monuments that have been categorized by UNESCO World Heritage and the year in which they have been designated as the World Heritage. So the different years are also given along with it. So this is another, the list is still continuing. It's a long list. You can take a pause and you can give the examples of this, right? So this is just a quick, you can say, bird eye view and the detail of the famous monuments of India before I end this lecture, because let's have the, let's delve into the beauty of our Indian culture and look at the beautiful monuments. The Taj Mahal, which is situated in India, the Qutub Minar in Delhi, then coming to the Red Fort, which is also in Delhi, which also represents India's deep history and cultural legacy. We have the Mysore Palace or Amba Vilas Palace is one of the beautiful architectural wonders of India. Then we have the Konark Sun Temple. You can see the beautiful, stunning ancient monument in India. And then we have Fatehpur Sikri, situated very close to Agra, which is another historic city which was established by Mughal Emperor Akbar at that time. Then we have Gateway of India in Mumbai, a well-known landmark and one of the most famous monuments, you can say, of India. And the Victoria Memorial in Kolkata, another striking, you can say, stunning marble structure honoring Queen Victoria. Then Charminar in Hyderabad, a well-known landmark and one of the iconic famous structure of India. So the Ajanta and Ellora caves in Maharashtra are important, or you can say, heritage sites in India as well. So these are the few, very few images and a brief descriptions of the monuments that have been present. So no need to travel, abroad just to look at the heritage, look at the culture, and and just revere the, just sink in the beauty of the nature beauty, and of course how man has created these beautiful monuments. All you have to do is travel to these places. So make a list for yourself, and you can, make it a point that in at least in your lifetime visit these monuments, and let's appreciate this our Indian culture and our Indian architectural skills that are present here. So to conclude, the India's architectural landscape, it stands as a splendid testimony to its rich cultural, religion, and artistic heritage, right? And we have seen the earliest mosque from the medieval period to the grand Mughal masterpiece and modern monuments of national pride. So these monuments and mosques not only represents artistic excellence and the engineering ingenuity, but it also is embodying something special, something very spiritual, something very holistic. You feel so whole, you feel so attached to it. It also has a political and cultural narrative of their time. So, preserving and studying these architectural treasures allows us to appreciate India's diversity, continuity, and unity, qualities that continue to inspire future generation and generations that will follow after you also, and the values and how you're supposed to protect our cultural heritage as well. So I hope you have enjoyed this very detailed, you can say, lecture on one topic, that is architecture. So now you can imagine the weightage, that how elaborate, and even in this the three parts of this lectures, I try to compress as much as I can and bring about the best out of our Indian culture and heritage, so that you're able to appreciate, right? So I wish you all the best, and I'll be seeing you again in another topic that I'll be discussing related to Indian ethos. And till then, you take care of yourself and have a nice day. Bye bye.